Okay, I'm going to do a little tutorial here for you on OneNote. So when you open up OneNote, it's probably going to look similar to this. And if you've used Microsoft Word or Excel or PowerPoint, it's going to be very similar. The layout's very similar. What you will notice, though, is it says Notebook. And what I do is, personally, is I use a notebook for each course when I'm actually teaching. So this is a brand new laptop, so I really haven't set this one up. But what I will do is I'll set up a notebook for my Math 10 class, or I'll set up a notebook for my Math 11 class, or I'll set up a notebook for my Math 11 honors class. So it depends on what I'm actually teaching, and I'll set up a notebook for that particular course. And I've got these different tabs up here, and then each tab, I can add a new tab just like I did there. I'll just call this demo, and then I can use a tab for each unit or chapter that I'm actually teaching. And then alongside here, I can add as many pages as I want for each particular topic within that unit. It's a great way to organize my teaching. Keeps everything in there. You don't have to save. I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. And it all works great. So let's say, for example, I'm teaching a Math 10 class. Right, I want to add a notebook. And I'll call this Math 10 Block B. Right, I'll create the notebook. So here it is here. And so there's my Math 10. I won't have to save it. Everything will be there. So I can rename this section if I would like, and I can call this trinomials. And then along here, right now it says untitled page, but as soon as I write, it should take what I write and it'll change the untitled page on the right hand side to whatever I write. It will read my writing. And if it can read my writing, which is horrific, it's pretty good. So let's just try it. Trinomials demo. Oh, right an X, so it didn't work very well. Oh, there it is. Good. Okay, changed it. I was about to cancel the recording. Okay, so there's one example. So along here, along home, that's where you can choose your fonts, etc., etc. But usually with OneNote, we just use our stylus for the most part. And so drawing is where you want to go. So what I usually do is I click this little pin here to keep that tab open because I go back to it quite often. You can choose your different colors, right? You can also erase. Depends on what your stylus. If your stylus has a button on the end, you can use that as an eraser as well. What's great too is you can actually write an actual word. And then you can grab the lasso tool, and then you can highlight it, and then you can convert what you've written into text. So great little feature that you can use depending on what you're actually teaching. Okay, or if your writing is that bad as mine is, it can really be useful. And you can also use math. So you can also insert equations if you would like. There's a mathematics tab for including graphs, etc., etc. And I'll get into graphs in a little bit. So great feature. Another feature that I use a lot under the Draw to It tab, under the View tab, is you can put lines. And so for those of us that have troubles writing in a straight line, it's a great little feature. So then when we actually do go to write, it'll keep me focused. Okay. Especially for senior math, we use a lot of graphing. And so in order to do a graph, it's best sometimes to have graph paper. And so then I can quickly choose my graph paper, and I can choose what size I'm going to utilize. And then back under my draw tool, you can see that there's all these shapes. But I also have built in where I can put my X and Y axes for my different graphing. Great features. I use it all the time. So what I thought I would do is I'll do a little tutorial for you. So I'm going to add a little page here. And we're going to call this difference of squares. And so what I'm going to do is just do a little example. So I'm going to turn my lines back on. So here's an example number 1. So we want to factor x squared minus 9. And so as we remember, we factor. This is going to become x plus 3 and x minus 3. And so what we would like to do is we would like to check this using FOIL. So FOIL means first terms, outside terms, inside terms, last terms. So I'm going to start with my outside terms, x times x, which is x squared. I'm going to then go to my outside terms, which is minus 3x. I'm then going to go to my inside terms, which is plus 3x. And then I'm going to go to my last terms. Sorry, get rid of that. My last terms, which is minus 9. So I factor that down. I can see that these cancel each other out. So I have x squared minus 9. So I know I factored it right. Here's another example. Example Example 2. There it is. I'm going to factor 7 g cubed h squared minus 28 g to the 5. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my common factors. So I can factor both a 7 and a 28 by 7. And then I can take a g3, or g cubed, sorry, out of each. So essentially what I'm going to do to find out what's left over is I'm going to divide 7g cubed by each. So then I will have h squared left minus 4g squared. And h squared minus 4g squared is a difference of squares. So when I factor that down, it will become h plus 2g times h minus 2g. So we're going to do a FOIL check. So I'm going to leave my common factor alone for right now. And I'm going to go h times h, which is h squared, h times minus 2g, which is minus 2gh, and then 2g times h is plus 2gh. 2g minus 2g is minus 4g squared. So these are going to cancel each other out. So I don't really have to worry about those. And so then I'll expand. So 7g cubed times h squared is 7g cubed h squared minus 4g squared times 7g cubed is minus 7 times 4 is 28. And then g cubed times g squared, add the exponents, is g5. And that's what we had originally. So I know I'm correct. So once I'm done my lesson with for my students, all I need to do is go up here to File and Export. I just want to export the page. I can also export the whole section if I'd like. And I'm going to do it as a PDF. Export that onto my desktop. And I'll call it difference of squares. That will then give me a PDF that I can then upload to my website. And then I can also take that PDF or the video that I'm recording right now, put that onto YouTube, and then put a link on my website for the kids that I get into that a little later in this chapter. Thanks. Hope this helped.